You know what your problem is?
I ain't got no problem, man. Don't tell me. Don't tell me what my problem is. I don't care about it.
The energy on the set of Love and Hip Hop. Atlanta was intense. One of those days where everything felt a little too real, even for reality TV. The cameras were rolling, expecting to catch a typical heated exchange. But what happened next shocked everyone, including the cast and crew. It all started when Scrappy and Khaotic were scheduled to film a scene together. Things had been boiling under the surface for weeks, and this moment was about to explode. Scrappy had been under a lot of emotional stress, issues at home, drama in his relationships, and the never-ending pressure of staying relevant on a show that thrived on chaos. But today wasn't just about personal problems. It was about pride. Khaotic, the outspoken newcomer, had been stirring things up since his first episode. He was bold, loud, and knew exactly how to press people's buttons. He'd been taking shots at Scrappy for a while, joking about his career, throwing shade about his past, and disrespecting him at every opportunity. Scrappy had kept his cool for a while, but it was clear that something was going to give. As the cameras started rolling, Khaotic wasted no time. He mocked Scrappy straight away, throwing out sharp insults and challenging him in front of everyone. "You've been here forever, but you still act like you don't know what you're doing," he said, smirking like he wanted a reaction. Scrappy clenched his jaw, trying to keep it together, but his patience was wearing thin. Then Khaotic pushed even further. "You're not the man you used to be. You're just another has-been pretending to still matter," he sneered. That was the final straw. Without thinking, Scrappy lashed out. His hand flew up and smacked Khaotic across the face, the sound echoing through the room. Everyone froze. For a second, Khaotic stood there, stunned. But then, the fire in his eyes returned. He charged at Scrappy, and security had to jump in to stop things from going further. The tension had finally snapped, and now there was no going back. Khaotic yelled, "You really think you're just gonna hit me like that and walk away?" Scrappy, breathing heavily, fired back, "You've been pushing for this." What started as just another scene turned into one of the most explosive moments in the show's history, and no one saw it coming. The energy in the room was intense, almost unbearable. Everyone on set stood frozen, watching in disbelief as Scrappy and Khaotic stared each other down. Security held both men back, but it was obvious that things had already gone too far. The quiet between shouting was filled with deep, heavy breaths and scattered murmurs. This wasn't just another argument for the cameras. This was real. The fight wasn't just about a slap anymore. It had become a matter of pride, about who would be respected and who wouldn't back down. The producers, realizing things had escalated beyond control, quickly called for a break. Crew members jumped in, trying to separate the men, pulling them to opposite sides of the room in hopes of calming things down. But even though the cameras kept rolling, it was clear that something had changed. What had started as a heated moment turned into something much deeper. That slap had become a symbol. It represented all the frustration, the rivalry, and the battle for dominance between Scrappy and Khaotic. For Scrappy, the slap wasn't just an impulsive reaction. It was a message. He had been feeling pressure for a while, between his personal life, his reputation, and now this new guy trying to challenge him. Khaotic had come into the show bold and loud, always looking to provoke someone for the sake of drama. But this time, he went too far. Scrappy had reached his limit, and he wasn't going to let anyone embarrass him, especially not in front of his wife, Bambi, or the millions of viewers watching. Bambi, standing nearby, had witnessed everything. She had heard the disrespectful things Khaotic said and could sense her husband's anger rising. She knew Scrappy well enough to recognize that look in his eyes, the one he got when he'd had enough. This time, it wasn't about fame or attention. It was personal. Khaotic didn't just cross the line, he stomped all over it. Khaotic, on the other hand, was used to chaos. He often thrived in arguments and loved the spotlight. He had been stirring up tension since joining the cast and rarely backed down from confrontation. But this time, he misjudged the situation. He thought he could taunt Scrappy and walk away without consequence. He didn't expect Scrappy to react so strongly. Then, in one quick moment, everything changed. Scrappy stepped forward and delivered a hard slap across Khaotic's face. The loud crack of the hit echoed throughout the room. For a split second, time seemed to freeze. The cast stood in shock. Some covered their mouths, others exchanged nervous glances. A few, though they wouldn't say it out loud, looked almost relieved. Someone had finally stood up to Khaotic. Bambi's expression shifted. She felt a mix of pride and emotion as she looked at her husband. She had always known Scrappy had her back, but seeing him stand up for her in that way stirred something deep within her. In that moment, Scrappy didn't need to say a word. His actions said it all. Family comes first. Always. Khaotic stood still, stunned, trying to process what had just happened. He was still smirking at first, but there was a flicker of something else in his eyes. Shock. Maybe even regret. He wasn't used to people standing up to him like that. Now, he had a decision to make: fight back or walk away. As security continued to hold the two apart, the tension refused to die down. Everyone knew this wasn't over. This wasn't just some scripted TV moment. They had just witnessed something raw and real. The energy on set had shifted, and the entire cast could feel it. Even though the production resumed shortly after, the vibe wasn't the same. Conversations were quieter. People were more careful with their words. That one slap had shaken the group to its core. Scrappy had made it clear that he wasn't someone to mess with. He had drawn a line in the sand, and everyone knew where he stood. The moment also left an unspoken question hanging in the air. What would Khaotic do next? Would he come back with more fire? Or had he finally realized that not everyone was going to play his game? Whatever the answer was, one thing was certain: the tension between Scrappy and Khaotic wasn't going away anytime soon. Their conflict had just added a whole new layer of drama to the show, one that fans wouldn't forget. And as the cameras zoomed out and the day wrapped up, the only thing anyone could be sure of was this: the drama was far from over.